Switching gears on you, talk about Indiana football a little bit. Another big-time transfer yesterday. I haven't talked to Dustin about this yet either, but they pick up a wide receiver from, or was that the day before, but from Texas A&M. I remember trying to compile a list. I was like, are you kidding me? Because I started going down through the list of guys that have transferred into Indiana here of late, and Stanford, Florida State, USC, Ole Miss, Michigan, Texas A&M, Auburn. Who am I missing? Somebody? I mean, that is absolutely unheard of. That would have taken a decade to come up with that list, if not longer.
No,
if you go back.
I think definitely longer. I think definitely longer. I mean, I don't know if that's ever happened, with one off season in terms of so many marquee programs, leaking players and Indiana picking them up. Indiana, of all places, picking up all of that talent. So I'll ask you, because you guys are more dialed into it on a daily basis than I am. How is this going to work? Where are all these guys going to play? Or are they going to play immediately and be starters?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I try to look at this objectively. And one of the things that was interesting this year with so many seniors coming back to Indiana because of that extra year of eligibility, Indiana class was it wasn't up to par as to where it had been in previous seasons under Tom Allen. The interesting thing, though, is they have a smaller recruiting class. So you bring in some of these guys who have experience. I mean, I think that what you're going to start to see from Indiana now, and I don't know whether these guys are going to be immediate impact players, whether they'll sit for a season or two and then get their opportunity in 2022. But I think what you're starting to see at Indiana, and Tom Allen understands this very well, is you're starting to see the type of talented depth you need to compete at a Big Ten level, to consistently get to bowl games, to compete for Big Ten East titles, and maybe eventually even a Big Ten championship. I don't think Indiana's quite there yet, but when you have guys, if you have guys from Auburn, USC, former 4-star and 5-star guys on your two deep, that's a really good thing, because in previous years, it's been, Indiana has had some starters that are comparable, but where you start to see the separation is in the second half when you go up against Ohio State and they've 5-star guys, on their 3 deep. So that's what's going to be interesting to me. I think some of these guys can step in, and I'm blanking on the name of the wide receiver. I know who you're talking about, Jim, the Texas A&M wide receiver who came in, but he's a guy that he'll fill a position need immediately. Some of these other guys, I don't know if they'll play right away, but they add that depth that Indiana has lacked for so long, and what they need to build a consistent program.
Let me tell you guys a quick story. Then I got a jet, unfortunately, but I think you guys will enjoy this, because I'm working back in the Colts complex this week, and so I've been around the players and just kind of shooting the ball with them. And I had 2 different conversations with 2 Ohio State guys, former players, Paris Campbell, wide receiver, and former defensive end at Ohio State, Tyquan Lewis. And I just wanted to see what they would say. And so off the record, I asked them, off the record, we didn't, I can share this with you. It's not anything earth shattering, but at any rate, I asked them, hey, two proud Ohio State guys, right? They bleed scarlet and gray. I said, going forward next year, what you know about the Big Ten, what is the biggest game for Ohio State in the Big Ten East? And they both said Indiana. They didn't say Michigan. They didn't say Penn State. They said Indiana is our most toughest game, our most difficult game, because they always play us well. They always give us fits for 45, 50 minutes. And then to your point, Dustin, like talent, 5-star, 4-star recruits, their 2 deep is obviously, deeper, more talented than Indiana's historically. But they didn't say Michigan. They didn't say Penn State, Michigan State. They all said Indiana. And so that's huge when, the former players are starting to recognize, hey, back in the day, they gave us fits, and they're for real. And they're a lot better than they were 3 or 4 years ago when we were in college. So pretty cool how far they've come.
That is an amazing testament to hear that. And it's going to be an amazing thing to see on the field. It will be fun to see how that all transpires. I talked about that because the games are going to be different this year, Matt. There will be fans in the stands. So when you go to Michigan, it's going to be a lot more difficult for teams like Indiana. Last year you had an advantage of going, whether it was Penn State, to these big stadium places that did not have the fans there. And now you add that back to a marginal team, it makes a difference. So it's going to make the margin of error a little less, a little more for Indiana next season. But that's part of the deal. Everybody's got it, right?
Without question. And I think, as I said a couple of weeks ago, fans coming back and, these big time places, you got to play at Penn State, you got to play at Michigan. I think Michigan State may or may not be a home game, but you get what I'm saying. Like, not that I'm taking anything away from Indiana's success last year, because it was phenomenal and I celebrated just like every other fan. But having those places with that energy and that noise makes a big time difference. And so I'm really eager to see if Indiana can back up success on the road at some marquee venues in the Big Ten.